Hey, what is up, traders? This is Stan Gluzman here with 7 Points Capital, bringing to you today's trader takeaways. So let's just take a look at what we traded today. We had a bunch of gappers on a gap scanner. Also, I was watching PCG and I was watching a few earnings, primarily Bank of America, because Bank of America usually, when it's in play, it has pretty nice range and it's really liquid, so it's very easy to get in and out, and also to read the tape. So this one was the main watch for me in the morning, and had a pretty nice trade on it. I was just watching for any pops to short, and I was watching this level right here. Well, I was watching a few levels, but this was the first one that I was watching, and we hit it and we rejected, so that's where I started shorting, risking this level right here, and then shorting pops, and then moving the stop down, and then covering into big washes. And we actually bottomed out at $29, I think almost $21, maybe $29.01, $29. Rallied, but the trade was done for me. So let me just pull up executions to show you. So I started in pre-market, but I realized I'm in a little too early, and I need to wait for the setup to actually set itself up. And once we rejected, I missed that top tick, but chased it a little bit and then shorted the bounce. So the ideal entry would have been in here, first one, and then in here, the second one, and the exits were pretty good. So I took off about half near the pre-market lows, and then the other half at 29 bucks, like 29.02. And I wanted to see if we're gonna actually continue to the downside or break to the upside. I did want to buy the break out of the range, but I was watching a couple of other names and I just wasn't able to get in. But that was another really good trade on the long side here. That was the first one. The second one was FLKS. We've had quite a bit of those sub-dollar names rallying in the past few weeks, and they get a lot of volume, 50 million, 100 million per day. So, and they're trash names, so they fade. So they move, they have pretty decent range, and they're pretty liquid. Usually I take pretty decent losses on those because the spread opens up and there's just no liquidity for me to get out. But in these names, past couple of weeks, they've been so liquid, I can get in and out very easily. So yesterday there was a bidder at 60 cents, and we were just shorting, thinking we're gonna break down. Covered most of it at the close, held some overnight, and today we gapped through the 60, and then once we gapped through, that was a cue for me to start shorting, risking above 60. And we got a nice washout. So that was actually the biggest trade for me on the day. These are the executions. So we pop rejected 61s, and then start shorting, well, adding to the position from yesterday, and then covering into the big wash. And that was a really nice trade. And the trade is done for me. After that, pretty low liquidity grind, so I don't want to be involved. Next trade is KMDA. Peter from our desk called this one out, that it popped and rejected this level right here. Started shorting. The liquidity was a little bit dry, so I just put out a bunch of bids and just had a few targets, put out the bids, and got hit. So that was like 30 or 40 cent trade, something like that. Really nice range. Definitely could have held a little bit longer, but chances that it'll come back to yesterday's close are like pretty slim. So pretty decent trade in my book. Let's see what else. UXIN today dropped quite a bit. I mean, this is a stock that we were shorting in the $10 rate. Yeah, it went almost to $10. So we were shorting in the 9s and 8s, and now it's sub $2. I missed the entire move. I was just watching it. I couldn't really find a spot to get in, and wasn't really paying too much attention. But once we bottomed out, I started buying dips, and then once we topped out right here, rejected, started shorting right here. Let me pull up executions. There's quite a few executions, but for the most part, tried shorting this. Noticed a soaker, but that was just a scalp for me. Just covered it really quickly. Tried shorting right here. It didn't work. I noticed a buyer on the tape. There was a pretty big buyer, so I covered the short and I bought quite a bit, and I sold it into the pop, and then from here on I was buying dips and selling pops, and here I started shorting it, covering, shorting, covering, shorting, covering. So the biggest trade was actually this one where I went long and sold it into the pop. So that was like a 10-cent trade on like pretty decent size. Let's see what else we traded. PRPO. So that's another sub-dollar name that was just uptrending, and then it rolled over and had a pretty big drops. Had a really nice trade on this one. Missed this drop right here, but I started sizing in against this level right here, and then once we got closer, started adding quite a bit, and then it covered everything into the wash, and then waited for the pop back to this level. Now took a stab and then closed it basically at a couple of minutes before the close. And let's see what else. PCG. So this one is really interesting. We had a pretty big squeeze for 2 days, and after this squeeze, for me, that was kind of a confirmation that the stock does not want to make a new high, because we popped pretty hard and then we came right back down. So I actually bought a couple puts and closed out some of them, and then holding the rest today. And also had a little scalp in it. Just there was a little setup here. Probably could have held it a little bit longer. Once we broke this base right here, if I missed this entry, there's usually another one on the retest, and I got in on the retest. This is even better entry than here because there's a lot of overhead and people are probably freaking out and trying to get out for break even, whoever is buying dips. So got in, got out, quick scalp. I do have a couple of losers. RWLK. This one I was thinking right here, once we broke this uptrend, size in right here for the drop, but we did start uptrending. Then I started shorting in here. Made some money back, but still down a little bit because I really got chopped up right here. Definitely was right on the direction, was right on the price. I was thinking we will trade in the 60s today, which we did, but I was just wrong on the timing, and the setup wasn't that good. So RWLK. So started on the front side very small, got stopped out, and from here on I was just getting really chopped up. This was a pretty big loss. Once we broke this trend line, I started shorting and then got stopped out and got slipped pretty hard, and then here started shorting and covering, shorting, covering. So I made some back, but not everything. Also, FCSC, small loser. This one's from yesterday. We did trade like 31 million shares yesterday, and we gapped down today. So I thought that we're gonna wash out into like sub $2 out of the gate, but we didn't. So I just closed it out. I thought we're not really going anywhere, and there was a soaker in the low 30s, like 33, 34, 35. They were buying a lot, so I thought maybe they're going to try to push it back to green, and maybe we can actually short their lower high. But I didn't have a good read on the stock, I guess. And that's pretty much it. I did trade RNN pre-market, but didn't really do so well. Scratch trade pretty much, and missed a big drop in RNN, but that was the money maker today for sure. The range was pretty crazy. It went from 9 to like 650-ish. So very nice, solid downtrend. You could tell somebody was unloading here, whether it's a big account or dilution, but somebody was unloading here. There's barely any bounces, and there's one bounce here, and it got shut down pretty quickly. And that's pretty much it for tomorrow. Definitely going to watch Netflix. That's going to be probably my main watch. And that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching. If you have questions, you can tweet at me at Chocana Trader. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.